So in order to get the most out of this program, there are two things I recommend you do first. So number one, before we isolate this specific part of your business model, which is all going to be about pricing, I do recommend the same place where you enrolled in this program, go to my Udemy profile, Scott Jansen, and go ahead and enroll in the free Hypnosis business model program. And I do recommend watching that first. It's about 60 minutes and it governs the entire theory. Like I said, this program is all based on just pricing, but I really need you to understand why I've isolated pricing in this way and the entire business model itself. Otherwise, it's not going to make too much sense. If you have watched that and watched that pretty recently, obviously you can continue on. If you haven't, go check that out first. What I also recommend you do as well, and this is actually part of the business model as well, there is a video called the metrics video, and this is really understanding your economics and metrics and why $100 clients are going to kill your business. So this is the reason why we have to have higher prices. This is not based on an assumption. It is not based on a guess. It's not based on some random theory. We are actually going to look at the maths of your business, its ability to scale, your ability to survive as a hypnotherapist and coach and grow your business. So go watch those two first. This metrics video is a part of this Hypnosis business model program. If you haven't watched in a while, go check those two out and inform yourself of why we're doing things this way. This really governs the why and my theory behind what I'm going to teach today. So once you've done that, we can then get on with this program. So what are we going to cover in this pricing program? So first, I want to point out why the old business model, or I guess we could say even a popular business model that's been floating around quite recently, is this whole idea of filling up your diary with clients, getting a busy practice, having back-to-back clients, that type of therapy and coaching model. I want to point out why this doesn't scale and why it's going to be almost impossible to ever have a business with back-to-back clients. Or if you do have a focus on trying to fill up your diary with back-to-back clients, hopefully by the end of this training, you'll understand why this is definitely the wrong approach. Regardless whether you're starting out in business or regardless whether you've been in this business for quite some time, this model will break very, very easy and it's impossible to scale. So I'm going to talk about this. Next, I'm going to talk about, again, going back over the traditional model, is why we don't sell sessions, hours, time, things, discounts, workbooks, programs, stuff like that, or the how we do things. We don't sell hypnosis. We don't sell NLP. We do not sell life coaching. I'm going to talk about this theory right here. Next, I'm going to show you how to price your service on something called future value. And I'm going to show you how and why you should be pricing your service for between $1,500 all the way up to $1,500. Now, if you've watched the business model and you've watched the economics, you'll understand this already. And for some of you watching this, watching these two first programs will be enough to completely change your mind and your focus and output of your business. And you'll go ahead, raise your prices and start getting paid clients at this new price. And if that's the case, well done, fantastic. Still recommend you watch this. Okay, but some of you might be convinced enough just by watching these two, which is the whole purpose of those programs as well. For some of you might look at that and go, Scott, that sounds all good in theory, but I need a little bit more convincing. That's what I'm going to talk about more in this program. We're going to isolate the pricing section because I understand it is the most overly confused process in system for therapists and coaches. Okay, I'm going to give you a standard reasoning behind everything. I'm going to show you some proof and I'm going to give you some things to look at that you'll be able to grab onto and use for your next clients. Okay, like I said, this is not just random theory. This is based off my own observation and running my own therapy and coaching business as well. Lastly, if you're wondering, okay, Scott, I get it. I understand the metrics between a $1,500 client compared to like a $100 or a $50 client, but how do I present it in such a way where it makes sense to my clients? It makes sense to them to choose me over competition that may be charging $100 and $50 and giving discounts and stuff like this. How can I convince my clients in such a way where they make a positive decision on me and not go to my competition? Well, I'm going to show you a quick presentation of basically how I talked my client through this, how I presented my higher prices, how I got yeses, and how you can do the same. So I'm going to introduce you to my MOS process, introduce you to the higher price and the 80-20 rule, the objection handling, how I handled all of my objections, and the simple presentation I'm going to give you guys to be able to word this and to almost ad lib this with your next client and start to get paid what you really deserve. So there's a lot going into this, as you can tell already. This is beyond just asking an expert what you should price and them giving you an opinion. Opinions don't go far in business. Opinions don't really have a lot of proof. I want to show you the system so you have something to follow, something that's repeatable, and you can understand why your business may not be growing now. And if you choose to, how you can actually start charging really what you're worth and really understanding that your worth goes a lot further than just $100 here or there. So let's begin. All right. So as you guys know, my background was in hypnotherapy and coaching. If you've been following my work for some time, you'll understand my background was helping lawyers quit smoking. But I want to show you the timeline of not only how I came up with this process, but my timeline through this evolution of my own prices, my own difficulties in business, and hopefully you guys can relate. So let's go. So as you know, I was a stop smoking therapist. When I first got into the industry, my focus, because this is what I thought I had to do, because this is what the gurus and experts were telling me. They were telling me low prices, more clients, that back-to-back model, get as many clients as possible. But they weren't really talking about how do I actually market this service? What am I supposed to say to my clients? How can I convince them that I am the person to go see, even though my prices were the same as everybody else compared to my competition? So one of the first mistakes I made, which for a lot of you guys, this will be quite shocking, was the biggest time when I failed in my hypnotherapy business was when I was trying to sell hypnotherapy. I was actually trying to sell sessions, and I was trying to sell my story, my theories, who I was trained by. And this is when I was, for lack of better words, the most broke in my business, which is quite bizarre. So what was I doing? I had my stop smoking. Okay. This was the niche that I was trained in quite heavily by my mentor, which was great. I actually enjoyed doing stop smoking, but the stop smoking thing was fine. But when it came to talking to my clients, I was under the assumptions that I was going to sell hypnosis. I was selling sessions. I was selling me. So when I was using this model, which is still pretty traditional right now in these days, I was charging $100 per hour or $100 per session, and it would roughly take me about 2 sessions to work with a client. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 1. It was a bit all over the place. But also, if I knew it was going to take 2 or 3 sessions, I would start selling discounts. And I would actually talk to my clients about, hey, you know what? We could probably help you quit in 2 sessions. But if you buy 3 sessions, we can do stop smoking in the first 2 and maybe anxiety if you've got that in the 3rd session. I was basically just trying to sell things. Okay. And I'm selling discounts. The more a client would buy, the more I'd give them a discount. And in theory, this sounds right, but economically, it was really crushing my business. Now, what was most astounding to me right at the start of my career, when I was selling hypnosis, selling sessions, selling me, selling time, selling hours, trying to fill up my dough back-to-back clients, I was attracting a very low level of client. The quality of my clients was very low, for lack of better words. And I noticed that every time I was selling this, instead of selling what I later sold, I was getting price objections. The most price objections I ever got was when my prices were really low, which is really bizarre. I kept also getting my clients saying, well, hang on, can I get it any cheaper? Because I know Joe Blogs down the road charges $50. Then I've got a lot of, well, I've got to ask my husband, I've got to ask my wife, I've got to ask my mum and dad to borrow the money. A lot of objections. And beyond that, I started getting the objections of this, Scott, are you sure this will work? What's your guarantee? What if it doesn't work? Can I come back? But then also the biggest thing was I was getting a lot of hypnotherapy objections. So when I was trying to convince people of this, and I knew I could help them, I would then go on to an educational spiel about what hypnotherapy is, how the unconscious mind works, how conversational hypnosis will help them, how the mind will let go of the trauma associated to smoking and the root cause. And I went into becoming like a therapist mode. I went into speaking to my potential clients about therapy, hypnosis, coaching, and understanding this now. Look back on this, I realized, I used to see my clients' face and eyes sort of glaze over. I realized I was talking about things that they didn't care about. I was talking about things they didn't understand using actual therapy lingo. And I was focusing their attention on all the wrong things. I'm focusing their attention on this and this right here instead of results. Instead of talking to my clients about what it's going to be like as a non-smoker, I'm focusing them on this, this, and all of this. So while I was focusing them on the wrong things, I noticed all of the objections would be popping up constantly. And it was just a constant cycle of trying to educate my clients on hypnotherapy, getting objections, getting price objections, wanting things cheaper. And looking back on it now, $100 per session is not that much. I mean, someone would spend more than $100 a week on cigarettes. Why couldn't I break this? So I was smart enough to look at this model and I followed it to a T because I wanted to see what worked. I thought, well, this doesn't work. I can't niche. It's not about niching. So I started off niching very closely, but I was selling all the wrong things. So I'd isolated a part of the problem that I thought was the case. There's that thought word, thoughts and assumptions can really kill business. I thought this was my problem here. I thought I wasn't good enough at talking about hypnotherapy and coaching. I thought that this might have been the problem. It was all over. I couldn't isolate exactly where the fault was in my business. So I gave up on this business model and I turned to this business model. So I went from getting away from niching. I knew I could help people with quit smoking. The way I was trained, I realized I could help people with pretty much everything. Because when it comes down to all problems are pretty much the same. What our clients tell us the problem is not what we work on. You guys are all therapists and coaches. You understand that idea as well. So I went into stop smoking, weight loss, anxiety, pain control, mindset, fear, give up on alcohol, drugs. I went into every niche possible because my mind, logically, I thought, well, okay, maybe there is just not enough clients who want to quit smoking. There's me guessing again. What if I just offer everything to everybody? There's 7 billion people on this planet. I'm going to get enough people if I scatter my approach and try every single niche. Logically, that made sense. But then what did I do? So I started to try and market this way. And I'll talk about how pretty much impossible it is to market every type of niche as possible. And this became another fault in my business as well. And I was doing the whole $100 per hour, buy more, get one free, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time of attacking all of these niches at once, I found myself in a very red ocean because I noticed most other therapists and coaches were not niching either. So I actually started off in a better place by niching. I just screwed up the rest of it. But when I went for everything at once, I realized that every other therapist and coach that I knew was all doing the same thing. And the only people that were winning are the ones that were undercutting the next person on price. So if I was charging $100 per 2 sessions, I make $200 total per client. Joe Blogs down the road does it for $90 for 2 sessions. And then Jane Blogs does it for $80. You see my point here. So I found myself in a red ocean, impossible to compete. The only way to win in a red ocean is if you've got like a following already, or you know someone who's really big in the industry that can plug your services for you. I didn't know any of those people. I didn't really know much about marketing, really nothing about marketing then compared to what I know now. And I found myself in a red ocean, a place where I would say even 95% of the market still to this day, and this was well over 15 years ago when I found myself in this, therapists and coaches today are still doing this. You know you're in a red ocean, and I recommend you do this as an exercise. Go find 10 people that you were certified with or 10 people that did the same course as you. Go look at their website, go look at their services, go look at their products and prices. And if they've got multiple everything and you've got multiple everything, plus the other person's got multiple everything, plus the other people have got multiple everything, all the people you were certified with, let's say you certify with 50 people, if you're all selling the same multiple niches, the same multiple prices, the same multiple discounts, you are in a red ocean. And that is a big reason why you're not making money and you are staying broke as a therapist and coach. Just like I was selling multiple everything. I had no differentiation in the market. Now, a lot of people tell me, Scott, I'll differentiate my service by having a different business name, by using a different funnel, by using a different website, by offering more discounts or VIP packages or gold packages. This is not what you differentiate. And I'll talk about in a moment, the only thing clients really care about and focus on and really buy from you, they're not buying the name of your service. They're not buying your VIP package. So I couldn't differentiate there. My marketing was scattered. I mean, how can you market to be a stop smoking expert, weight loss expert, anxiety expert, pain control expert, mindset expert, all on social media? It means that you'll just basically come across as okay in everything, but not really an expert in one thing. I'll talk about why that's important very soon. And biggest of all, I could not improve on my products. I couldn't improve upon the results. What happens over time when I show you guys that niching is the real key here, When you're working on all of these different things, you can't become an expert in all of it. You can't create an ultimate best in the market product by attacking all of these, because you won't have enough time focused to become the best stop smoking therapist, the best weight loss therapist, the best anxiety expert. You'll just be okay at everything. And right now, 15 years later, even into today, the market is so oversaturated with generalist therapists getting generalist results. And there's a lot of clients, unfortunately, that are getting a bad taste in their mouth for therapy and coaching, not at the client's fault, but at the therapist who can't concentrate on becoming the best at just one of these things, which means that you can't market everything at once. You can't improve that initial product. You can't get better results than everybody else because your time and your focus is scattered. So I went from niching, but I ran the model incorrectly. I then chose this model, which was to sell everything, but I just found myself in just chaos of red ocean, no differentiation, scattered marketing, had subpar results for all of these, nothing that really stood out. And again, I was just being undercut on price. So what's the difference? They're really the two models that people run right now, and you probably have it in your business too. So let me show you what happened next. How did I evolve out of this? How did I actually make my business work? Well, this became my scattered business model, and this is what it looked like. Stop smoking, that didn't work. Just having the initial niche, I was selling the hypnosis, I was selling the how, which clients didn't care about. I was selling sessions and discounts and hours and time. But then went on to selling everything. That didn't work. But now focusing on my marketing. And we know right now that marketing is how we get clients. When we market our business, we're getting the attention of our potential clients. And it's the marketing that brings those constant leads into us, that brings those clients to us. But because I'd finished on this model, my marketing was all over the place. It was scattered, and I was leaking a lot of potential out of my business. Because what was I marketing? Let's talk about this for a moment, because I will get to the price very soon, but I really need you guys to understand this first. You're probably doing this in your business. A lot of therapists, a lot of coaches, where their attention on their business is never focused on their clients. I think social media has done this, where it almost makes us look famous, makes us seem important. We can get some instant feedback from a post or a share or a video or something like that, get some instant feedback on people complimenting us and things like that. Makes us feel good, like that instant reaction thing. But what I noticed in a lot of people marketing their business is these things right here. And this is what I did. I thought this was how marketing worked. So when I was doing my marketing, I was talking about my story, what I overcame in life, why I became a therapist. And I was always talking about me and my marketing. I was talking about why I became a therapist, a coach, and things like that. Realizing now, looking back on this, I realized that my clients didn't care about this. Clients have got their own story. They've got their own needs and wants. They didn't care about me. But I also thought, well, what about if I market who I was trained by? So a lot of people marketing, I was trained by Tony Robbins, I was trained by Tad James, Igor, and people like that, all great mentors and gurus. But you've got to realize that your general public clients or clients in general aren't following these mentors, nor do they get excited about what these mentors have to say, because they're not educated the way that we are. If they're excited by Tony Robbins, by Tad James, by Igor, it's probably because they want to become a therapist or a coach themselves. Then these people are not going to be your clients. So I was marketing my story. I was marketing my journey, why I became a therapist and coach. I was also marketing who I was trained by. And the biggest mistake I was making, and I see this everywhere in the industry, I was marketing the NLP, the coaching, the hypnotherapy. I was constantly trying to educate my clients on how NLP works, how coaching works, how hypnotherapy works, how the unconscious mind works, how root causes work. I was just convinced that if I showed how intelligent I was, this would be enough to convince them that I was the expert. But I noticed the more I talked about this stuff, the less inquiries I got, the more broke I became. Because again, I'm talking about all the wrong things, and clients do not care about this. If they did, it's because they want to become a therapist or a coach themselves. So we've got to realize this, the how and you doesn't matter. If you're constantly marketing yourself on social media, talking about yourself, your clients are going to be thinking, well, where's room for me? I don't care why Scott Jansen became a coach. I don't care why Scott Jansen became a therapist. I don't care who Scott Jansen was trained by. I don't care what Scott's talking about with hypnotherapy can help you quit smoking. I'm not concerned about those things. All I want to know is if I'm going to pay Scott Jansen the price he's asking, will he help me quit smoking? So it was a totally different prospect of marketing that I had to do, but I was caught where everybody else gets caught as well. So what do clients care about? What's the only thing your clients care about? What's the only thing your clients are focusing on? And really, what's the only thing your clients buy, knowing they don't buy sessions, they don't buy hours, they don't buy the how, they don't buy your story, they don't buy your journey, they don't buy the type of therapy that you do, they don't buy who you were trained by. Clients only want results. And this, for me, as simple as it was profoundly important, not only for myself, but all the therapists and coaches we train now, that if you can switch your mind to just concentrating on results, your business will grow as default from this. But if all your marketing is about your story, who you were trained by, the process you use, your journey, your story, all of those types of things, it's basically talking to your clients, potential clients, about all the wrong things they don't care about. Then you're trying to convince them of NLP and coaching in ways that they're not educated to understand the lingo. And you wonder why clients just aren't buying from you. You wonder why clients just aren't connecting to your message or marketing. So clients only want results. Okay. So I realized this for myself as a stop smoking therapist. I enjoyed the stop smoking. So I looked at the niche thing again. I realized that's all clients care about. So why am I not talking about results? Why am I not focusing on this one therapeutic change that I know I'm good at and just make it better than everybody else? And if I do make it better than everybody else, I should by inference be able to charge more than everybody else, because while everybody else is in this red ocean trying to compete on prices, what if I just become great at one thing, charge more than everybody else, then prove why I charge more than everybody else and prove why my value is more than everybody else and get results quicker than everybody else? See my thinking there. I got away from this into concentrating on this. So how do you do this for yourself? And again, this is all related to the higher prices, okay? And if you watch the business model and the metrics videos like I recommend before, you'll see this all starting to connect now. So the only thing clients want or care about are results. So here it is. I was selling the how, sessions, and me. That was the old way of doing things. So I quickly changed this into focusing obviously on just one niche, and I focused on results. And I started selling results to people. And instantly, before I even took up my prices, I went from about $100 to $200 per client, and I took it up to about $500, and I started getting more yeses. I got it up to $750, started getting more yeses. I got it all the way up to $1,500, where I was pretty much closing all my clients. But it wasn't just by saying the amount and changing that and changing some sort of mindset or abundance blocks. It had nothing to do with that stuff because I didn't bother with any of that stuff. It was all about changing what was happening before I talked to this client, the systems I had in place to attract a better quality of clients. Because at low prices, I had very low quality clients. At higher prices, I had extremely high quality clients that were also willing to pay a higher price. So I concentrated on selling results, not the how, because clients didn't care about that. I also concentrate, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this on the last slide of this presentation. I concentrated on selling what I call future value, but also making my clients aware of all the time, money, and emotion that they have wasted by keeping their problem and not working with me today. And this became a repeatable, reflexive cycle that I could control. So what are these byproduct results? What does this future value thing mean? What does this waste thing mean? Well, I'll give you an overview here, then at the end, I'll explain it more. So I started to closely look at all my past clients, the ones that did come and see me for a couple of $100s. And I noticed the ones that got great results were emailing me back, were calling me or getting in touch with me and saying, Scott, thank you. I'm now a non-smoker. This is great. But I also noticed these other great things starting to happen. And these are pretty much, when you put your mind to it, these are things that we know are going to happen as a byproduct result of, quitting smoking. Clients were saying, I feel healthier. Obviously. Clients are saying that I'm saving money. Scott, I was spending $1,000 a month, $5,000 per month in some cases on cigarettes and cigars and, things like that. I'm now saving this amount of money per month. Obviously, the risk of disease is lower. I got rid of my insomnia. Like, Scott, I was really bad at sleeping before. All I wanted to do was smoke cigarettes. Now I'm sleeping better. I'm feeling healthy. I'm more energized. My pride, my self-worth has increased. I feel better. I've become a role model for my kids. And I was constantly hearing these byproduct results for my clients, the ones that quit. And then I started thinking, well, why am I not charging for this stuff? I'm only charging you a couple of $100, but you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe in sometimes a dozen extra things, byproduct results from working with me. And here's the funny thing that struck me when I really paid attention to this, that this client would actually go to another therapist at some point and go see them for stuff like this. Clients go see therapists and coaches for insomnia. Clients go to other therapists and coaches to have more pride, to have more self-worth, to become a better role model, to become healthier and lose weight. So if all of these things are happening for free and I'm only charging a couple of $100, I'm giving them way more than what they've paid for. So what if I made my clients aware of these things, that these are the potential things that will happen plus extra just by quitting smoking, because all of these things are related. And then I can raise my price and I can charge people for all these individual things, and bang, light bulb moment for me. I started talking about results, the byproduct results, what their future will look like if they do work with me. This will be their future. What their future will look like if they don't work with me. They'll stay a smoker, and all the time and money they will waste by remaining a smoker. And this was that aha moment, the light bulb moment. And I thought, why am I not charging for this? Another therapist or a coach is going to charge them for this individually. Why don't I put this together as, to use the normal model, like a package type program, but I'm not going to sell it as a package or a program. I'm going to sell it based on results. So that's what I went ahead and did. And this is how I was able to take my prices up to $1,500. But I'll dive into this further. Hopefully you guys are still with me. So this became my pricing model, guys. Okay, and I'll run you through this sequence of events. So instead of concentrating on the how, my journey, my story, talking about NLP and therapy and coaching and Milton Erickson and stuff like that, when I came to talking to my clients about what I cost, what their results would be, I kept their mind on the results. But in my presentation, I talked about the future value. Again, talking about them. I talk about the waste, the things they have wasted in the past by not working with me sooner. I'm talking about them. My whole focus became talking about them, about results, because that's all clients care about, results. And this led into a price tag of $1,500 based on results. Now, you might be thinking, well, Scott, hang on. How long did it take you to work with a client? Was it 1 session? Was it 2 sessions? Was it 5 sessions? Can you actually tell a client how long it will actually take them? Well, hold on to that thought, because I'll get into that. I'll introduce you to my MOS. That'll help you isolate essentially over time how long it will actually take per client to come and see you. And this will become a part of your differentiation as well, but I'll get to that. So this bled into this and then moved into my marketing, which was talking about proof, results focused, answering common questions, and I made it all about my clients. From the presentation was all about my clients. The reason why they should work with me was about my clients. The value I provided was for them. All my marketing was based on what I could do for them and what their life would look like by showing proof, showing the results I could get, answering most common questions, which is important when it comes to objections. It was all about my clients, and I got a handle on my income. I went from ebbs and flows in my income. I went from chasing back to back to back multiple $50 clients, $100 clients just to survive, to now building up a waiting list of $1,500 clients 4 months in advance, to the point where I could start to pick and choose the clients I wanted to work with. And again, it wasn't a mindset thing. It wasn't an abundance block thing. It's I was running the wrong systems. And I'm going to show you what those 2 systems look like. And this became a repeatable process. It got to the point where I knew each client that wanted to work with me, I knew pricing was never going to be a problem because I'd set up the systems to alleviate any issues around price. They never had objections, again, which was quite bizarre. The higher my prices got, I almost went down to 0 objections. And I'll talk about how I did that as well. It was setting up the precursors for this part right here. I did all the heavy lifting before I got to the price. So they were firmly convinced. And the most important thing was it was repeatable. I went from ebbs and flows in my income to constant growth, constant scale in my business as a hypnotherapist. And again, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. So let's have a look at this when we have the everything approach, which was what I started. I went from the niche, marketing all the wrong things, talking about the wrong things, the wrong price. Then I went to the everything approach, multiple niches, multiple products, multiple prices, multiple offers, multiple marketing, scattered focus, Logically, if I have a product for everybody, everybody should come and see me. I have a reasonable price. I'll eventually make some money because there's enough people in this world. But I noticed this is sort of like what my days look like. I was just focusing on everything, and I could only improve by very small amounts. So let's say, for example, this is your approach and this is your business model. We've got multiple moving parts, multiple niches, multiple services, multiple prices, discounts, specials, gold package, VIP packages, offers, multiple marketing strategies, scattered focus, and scattered time. Well, it starts to look like this. You can only make a small amount of progress in multiple different directions. Very hard to get control over. So let's say these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different approaches in our business model, 8 different directions to take our business. I can only progress by an inch at a time in 8 different ways. That's why my business wasn't growing. The alternative to this, to get away from the everything, and I'll talk about this 20% growth and 80% growth in a moment, was to focus on just the one niche where I started, but have the right system in place to support having one niche instead of multiple everything like everybody else. So with this type of business model, now I can take all of those 8 different approaches, 8 different products, 8 different niches, 8 different discounts, 8 different prices, marketing, etc., and I can focus them in all in one direction. And for the same amount of time I spend on trying to grow 8 different strategies, I can now grow this by 8 inches, all in the one direction. One niche, one service, one price, and what I call 80% growth. Now, back to what I was talking about before with the model of back-to-back clients and building a busy diary, building a busy practice and stuff like this. What can happen with this? Let's say by chance you do manage to get back-to-back clients. There is no way you're able to charge them a lot of money for that because the market won't be big enough to support that higher price. So now you have to lower your prices to $50 and $100. But because you're seeing so many clients back-to-back, you'll have no time to grow the business. And growth doesn't happen when you're sitting in front of clients. Growth happens by marketing your business. So let's say, for example, you saw in a week, let's say 5-day week, you saw, I don't know, 20 clients, okay, or even 30 clients, very low price, $50 clients. The last thing you want to do after, let's say 2 or 3 clients per day is do the marketing to get new clients. So if all your time is spent with back-to-back clients at a very, very low price, you're going to have less time on the growth of the business. Hence, you'll have ebbs and flows in your income. Now, if you go back to the free course I talked about before, the hypnosis business model, I talk more about that in depth, but hopefully this should make sense right now. Growth happens over here. It doesn't happen when you're back-to-back with clients. Your 80% growth happens when you're marketing your business and doing more strategy calls. Attracting new clients, bringing in more money, doing strategy calls is where growth happens. Every time you're sitting in front of a client, you're losing out on growth because growth doesn't happen sitting in front of your clients. Your growth happens when you're marketing. So what we recommend, and this is what I had to do for myself, was I spent less time with clients. I need 20% of my time within clients. Hence my prices had to go up as well. And because I had the byproduct value as well. And I spent 80% of my time talking about results, talking about my clients, talking about what I could do for them, showing proof, all the stuff I started to market like I showed you before. And this helped me grow my business consistently over time because that marketing turned into more strategy calls and more sales, not back-to-back clients. So with this model right here, I have one niche, one service, one price, and I can concentrate on growth instead of just sitting in front of clients. I can now spend marketing time, constant improvement on my marketing, constantly improving my close rate, getting better at sales, constantly getting better at marketing. I can constantly improve my focus. Instead of having to focus on 8 things at once in 8 different directions with 8 different niches, 8 different products, 8 different prices, I have one of everything. My focus is now confined to one direction. I could also have constant improvement by understanding my niche. I started to understand my niche better than my competition. I started to really get into the head of the lawyers that were quitting smoking. So all my marketing, I could express that. And it got to a point where lawyers were looking at my marketing thinking, wow, like Scott, you're talking directly to me. It went from generic, inspirational type marketing quotes, which no one cares about, to every piece of my marketing is now turning into a strategy call and a paid client. I could produce a video. I could go talk to people face to face, because that's what I used to have to do, because the internet and Facebook and all that was only just really started that. But all of my CGAs, my client getting activities, my marketing that I was doing was turning into constant clients, because I had constant improvement of understanding my niche. I could also concentrate on creating the right referrals, where the quality of client improved so much that they started sending me more referrals. But when I had multiple everything and really low quality clients, I never got referrals, which was quite bizarre. I could position myself as the expert in quitting smoking. That's it. Lawyers to quit smoking. That was my expert position. It wasn't expert in weight loss, expert in this, expert in that. You can call yourself an expert all day long, but it is impossible to back that up with an expert process for every single niche. No one in this world is good at everything. It is impossible. So now you just become a generalist. And lastly was my time. I could have constant improvement of my time. I could focus my attention in the right direction for the right amount of time and spend less time with clients, but charge more. The less time I spent with clients, because my prices went up, I didn't have to see as many clients to make my income. I could focus on all of this, and that's where growth happens. Growth doesn't happen at the 20% we're sitting in front of clients. Growth happens when you're doing all of this and constantly improving your approach to all of this. You go from a generalist marketer, generalist focus, generalist understanding the niche to some little extent, to clients now looking at you as the only expert and never wondering about why your prices are more. I never got those objections again. I never got the hypnotherapy objection, because I wasn't selling hypnotherapy, I was selling results. I never got that I've got to ask my husband or wife, because the person on the phone was already convinced by all the other things I was doing, which I'll point out. So this now became my new business model. Instead of this, I turned it to this. But this is really what multiple everything, multiple approaches, multiple products really look like. If we could define your business as a system, this is what it would look like. We have our inputs and we have our outputs. Our inputs would be like multiple niches, multiple prices, multiple focus, multiple products. And if you're doing all of these things, have you noticed how your business just seems really chaotic? You've got things that are connected to things, prices that are connected to different niches, focuses attention to different websites, traffic, inquiries, payment plans, events, and offers. You've got multiple different attention on your focus, on your products, on your service. You've got discounts, you've got prices, different certifications. You've got your funnels going. You've got your plan of attack. You're giving out pro bono. You're doing events. You've got payment plans. You've got free sessions, traffic and inquiries. You've got websites. You've got all of this multiple focus in all of these different directions. And the output of all of this energy, imagine turning a tap completely on, and in return for that, at moving through all of these different pipes, all of these different directions that are connected to all different things, and receiving just a small drip of output. Imagine this output is your income. This is essentially what most therapy and coaching businesses look like. And this was me as well. I was putting so much attention and focus and energy into this, but the relay of output was so small, because I was focusing on multiple everything. I could only make an inch of progress in so many different directions that I couldn't handle the system. I didn't know where my clients were coming from. I didn't know what to make better. I didn't know what to connect. I didn't know how to create a constant flow of income and a constant flow of clients and a constant flow of growth, because I had too many things pointing in too many different directions, connected to too many things, and all I experienced was chaos. And all of this attention, all of this growth, the output of this was just little drips of clients, little drips of unprofitable income. Sometimes I'd have money, sometimes I wouldn't. There was no control over the outputs in my business. Okay, now this is probably what your business looks like. So the alternative to this, when we've got the multiple everything, we have to create what is known as a constant throughput. So how do we put focus into one direction and monitor the output, where we can control the output and increase the flow of that output, where we go from chaos to this one niche, where it drips down into our throughput, where we can control the system. I can control the time, just one of everything, one price, one service, one niche, one system, one approach to time, one marketing strategy. I've got my VA, I've got my automation, I can improve my products, I've got strategy calls, I got my full pay, And because it's all pointing in the wrong direction, the flow of this is consistent. Nothing's leaking, nothing's pointed. I don't have this funnel connected to this price and this product connected to this event. And I've got this sales page connected to this strategy call and this strategy call. Lead pages connected to this type of funnel. And over here, I've got multiple niches, VIP packages, just that chaos. Now I've got a constant throughput and I can control how much water I let through. And now I can create a stable income, scale, and control, and I can point it towards the direction that I choose. This is the business model that I had to create. I got rid of the multiple variations, and now I just have one. And I can control the niche. I can constantly improve the niche. I can constantly improve my price or increase my price, constantly improve the level of my service. I can improve the system. I can improve my time. I can improve my marketing. I can improve the training of my virtual assistant. I can improve and implement automation. I can improve my product. I can improve my strategy call. I can get better at doing strategy calls. I can get better at my close rate. Why? Because I have control. And instead of having multiple taps in multiple different places and multiple different pipes, I can have a surge of flow through into my stable income, my scale, and control. And this represents my business model. Okay, so now that we have this, and this is what I created for myself, let me break down the individual parts. I've got my $1,500 clients based on results. That's what I'm selling. But I had to talk to my clients about MOS. I'll talk to you guys about the presentation that I did and also the objection handling, because again, sometimes just saying a higher price is not enough. I'm going to show you how I presented this to my clients and how I got yeses for this bigger price compared to my competition that was charging $100 or $150. Here I am 10xing that at $1,500. How was I able to get that and get more yeses at that price? Well, let me show you guys, and hopefully you guys are still with me here. So this became the system. All right, so let's look on the outside. This square on the outside represents the one niche. And inside this one niche, now I have my system. I've got my 80% growth in the right place. I've got my 20% client time in the right place as well, as I discussed before. So what happened in the system first? Well, I had my one product and one price. There was no discounts. Okay, there was no discounts even for referrals. If someone wanted to see me to quit smoking, it was $1,500, not $1,400 for one client, $1,000 for another, $500 for another. There was no payment plans. There was no part payment. It was, I have one product that I'm awesome at. One product I'm an expert in. I have one price. You either do it or you don't. That was it. And I also had my MOS. So what is the MOS? Minimum Optimum Service. Well, ideally, the minimum optimum service is a process I put together to create the least amount of time I'd have to see my client for the least amount of effort on both of our parts and the least amount of moving parts to run this entire model. So let's go through these one at a time. So why time? Why is time so important? Well, I realized one way to differentiate my service was I couldn't differentiate on price. I couldn't differentiate on marketing. I couldn't differentiate on my VIP packages because that was all red ocean. So the only thing I could differentiate was, well, what if I can get my clients their results quicker? And because I'm focusing on one niche at a time, I'm naturally going to get better at helping people quit smoking. It's like driving a car. You get better the more you drive a car. So this made a lot of sense to me. So while my competition was charging a lower price and they were doing it in 2 or 3 sessions, just like I did, I concentrated on getting it down to 2 sessions, then 1 session, to the point where I got it down to about 45 minutes to an hour. Now, this goes really into depth, but I'll give you the overview here. I'm thinking, well, Scott, how the hell did you do that? What I started to do was I really started to analyze what I was doing with my clients. And I started to trim the fat off the things I thought I had to do in therapy compared to what really worked. And I got rid of all the time-wasting activities in my service. You know, the result is quitting smoking. And I only used and said and processed the things that actually got the result, which was the quitting smoking. Now, beyond that, what I also did as well, when I applied the MOS to the time and I wanted to differentiate with my time, I noticed that as my price increased, like I said before, the quality of my client increased. And here's was the sneaky thing that I do. I didn't get more certified. I didn't learn, by certification, become a better therapist. I realized I could cheat the system. I realized that if my quality of client increased and they were putting $1,500 on the table, that means they're probably more motivated to quit. And the ones that came in that paid in full $1,500, they were, for lack of better words, and I use this word to explain it, like 80% therapized. In their mind, they've already decided to quit. My job was just to do the fancy therapy stuff to give them a reason and a result to quit from based on, and give them the experience that they thought they needed to quit smoking. But in their head, they already quit because they've given me $1,500. I'm a total stranger to them. But they give me that $1,500. But when I had $100 clients, there's no way in the world I could help them in 1 session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions. It was 5 sessions and beyond. But also with those $100 clients, I got emails. I had to give them more. They needed more convincing. They spent half the session just discounting what I was giving them, and they were arguing with me. They were late. So the quality of client was low. So it was a lot harder to get them the results. So based on my MOS, I refined the way I did therapy, and I realized if I just increase the quality of client, the quicker the results were going to be, which means I just spend less time with clients. Now, the dynamics of this is this. I'm paying myself less the longer I spend with clients. What a lot of therapists and coaches will do is they might raise their price, but they'll increase the time they spend with clients because their perceived value is more. If my clients are going to pay more, I need to give them more time, more sessions, more discount, more workbooks, more this, more that. And that's simply not the case. What you want to focus on is when you increase your price, you want to lower the time with your clients because now you can differentiate your service from you do it in 1 session compared to my competition who does it in 5 sessions. Clients are time poor. Clients are lazy and they want results quickly. So you want to give them that time quickly result as quickly as possible. But back to the growth of your business, the longer I spend with clients, the more I have to distribute that $1,500. $1,500 over 5 sessions or 5 hours of work, I'm paying myself less than if I do it in 45 minutes and pay myself the same amount. So economically for my business, I'm doing less work but making more money. So that's a part of the MOS stage. The next part is the effort. What's the least amount of effort my client could exhume to quit smoking? The least amount of moving parts and effort that my client would go through would equal a better result. So I trim the fat off of everything I did and make it so simple for them to quit. It was a no-brainer. I didn't do the workbooks. I didn't do the audios. I used to do all that stuff, but I realized that was just time wasting. And I just gave my clients the only thing they needed. But you might be thinking, well, Scott, hang on, my niche does need workbooks. I do need audios, and that's fine. My point here is only give your clients what they need. But if your client has to do constant homework, constant audios, constant this, constant that, see you day in, day out, hour after hour, week after week, they're going to drop off because they'll get complacent and they'll get lazy. So least amount of time, least amount of effort. Make it so simple for your clients to quit that it's a no-brainer. Lastly, the MOS is the moving parts of the business. Remember the example I gave before, the multiple pipes and everything moving in different directions? That's a lot of moving parts. I always say to everybody, more than one of everything in a business, you're complicating things. Too many moving parts. Least amount of moving parts in your business model. 1 service, 1 price, 1 marketing strategy, 1 of everything. It's easy to get growth when you've got 1 of everything. But if you've got multiple everything, it's extremely hard, if not impossible, to control all of those things. Most businesses will crumble because they try and grow too quickly. Their systems and processes get out of control. It crumbles all around them, or they can't improve the growth of their business because they just don't know which sort of pipe to play with, which connection to move here, which pipe to move over here. How do I get more throughput? How do I take back the output? Too many moving things. But if I've got 1 flow from 1 tap to 1 pipe and the output is just constant, I can then control all the individual parts, but the least amount as possible. So this is how I put my quote unquote product together. Now let's move into the marketing. Now, because I'm focusing on 1 niche, it's very hard. It's very easy, to market when I'm just talking about 1 thing, results of quitting smoking. Now, what was funny is I noticed that when I got better at my marketing, my objections went away. Why? Because I allowed my marketing to handle all of the objections. I allowed my marketing to talk about results. Remember before when I was talking about my journey, my story, NLP, coaching, hypnotherapy, talking about everything else that wasn't results, I was getting all the objections. When I focused on marketing, I do this today in my coaching company as well. I always answer objections through answering most common questions. Objections will show up on a strategy call if your content is always talking about you, taking selfies, talking about NLP and coaching, all the things your clients don't care about, all the things that cannot convince that you are an expert. If a client comes to a strategy call having objections, it means your marketing is not doing what it's supposed to do. And in most cases, because you're talking about NLP, coaching, RTT, hypnotherapy, and stuff like that, you're talking about who you were trained by. You're talking about your journey. You're talking about you all the time, taking selfies, quotes, general quotes that you've stolen from somebody else, which doesn't do anything anyway. You want your marketing to handle objections. So by the time someone does get on a strategy call with you, they say things like this: I watched all your videos. I watched all your webinars. I've looked at all your posts. I'm ready to buy. The only question I've got is, can I use Visa or MasterCard? And I laugh because this is pretty much the strategy calls I get right now. Why? Because my marketing has handled those objections. And my marketing can handle those objections while I'm sleeping, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I don't even have to be there. But if all my marketing is about me, I can expect I'm going to get all the same strategy, all the same objections like I used to do on every strategy call. And instead of having a 10 or 20-minute strategy call, I'm going to have a 2 or 3 hour strategy call. And then at the end, the client's going to say it's too expensive or I've got to think about it. So allow your marketing to handle the objections. And then you turn that marketing into strategy calls by having some sort of call to action. This is where growth happens. This is where you want to be spending 80% of your day, each and every day, is on the growth stage, booking more strategy calls, doing more marketing. The more marketing you do with this process, with this direction of talking about your clients and making about them, the more strategy calls you'll book. It's just throughput, cause and effect. You put effort and time one direction into your product and niche, move it through the marketing stage, book strategy calls where there's no objections, and people understand your price. This is where we grow. And then it's 20% of our time over here with actual clients, hence why our prices have to be higher. So this was the strategy I put through, and this is how I was able to convince my clients are paying me more money. I'll show you the presentation I actually gave them, the words I use, but this became the system I followed, a repeatable growth system, not back-to-back clients, not filling up my diary with multiple clients. It came down to spending my time here, booking more calls and getting more paid clients, and then choosing which clients I wanted to work with based on my $1,500 per result growth that I was looking for. So let's look at the presentation. What did I actually say? So obviously doing some sort of strategy call, clarity call is important here because we want to get control. You don't want to be giving your clients your price. I mean, imagine giving your clients a $1,500 price over Facebook Messenger. They're going to say it's too expensive. So you want to be booking people on strategy calls or clarity calls. But in the free business model, I talked about that more. Let's talk about more about the immediate result and future presentation that I gave to people. So based on results and future value and waste, my $1,500 was for results. These were the byproducts like I talked about. So what did I say to my clients? Well, at the end of the strategy call, I'd say my price is $1,500 and you'll go from being a smoker to a non-smoker. But also as a result of this, you'll get healthier, you'll save X amount of money, risk of disease will lower. And I used to just basically list out as many things as I could think of that my clients had told me in the past that would result naturally from quitting smoking. And then I'd make sure these were important to my clients. And they say, yes, of course, all of these are important. But then I'd get into talking about future waste. So I'd say to them, look, does that make sense? Can you see why my price is $1,500? Can you see all these extra added byproduct results you're going to get? Client says, yes. And then I would say something along the lines of, well, have you thought about this? If you don't quit today, how much do you normally spend on cigarettes per year? Let's say they spend $10,000, just as an example. I'd say, okay, if you don't quit today and you smoke for another year, you're going to spend another $10,000. 2 years, that's another $20,000. 3 years, and I do it all the way up to like 10 years. And I make them very aware of not only will cigarette prices increase, they're probably going to spend more, but I'd make them aware of what their future is going to look like if they don't work with me. After I'd given that thing, say, you're going to, the next 10 years, you're going to waste another $100,000 on cigarettes, but I'm only going to charge you $1,500 to quit today. This is what I call a price comparison. $1,500 by itself sounds like a lot of money. $1,500 compared to $100,000 that I know they're going to spend, and they know they're going to spend, doesn't seem like much at all. So I'd give them the future waste, what they're going to be wasting. But then I'd also just back that up and say, you know what? If you quit with me today, I'm going to save you $100,000 in the future. See how I did that, guys? It's just a simple price comparison. I'm giving them the immediate result, but I'm also giving them the future. A future, if they do work with me, this is what I'm going to save you. And a future that this is what it will look like if you don't work with me. But you might be thinking, well, Scott, hang on. I don't work with cigarettes. How can I do this for anxiety? How can I do this for weight loss? Well, anxiety and weight loss also have perceived value as well. People will spend money to keep their anxiety. People will spend a lot of money to keep their weight issues. But also you can start, guys, to think about the emotional toll it'll take on people. So if I was doing this for, let's say, anxiety, people are on medication. People numb anxiety with alcohol and food. But also I could say to my clients, by having this anxiety, look at all the things you're missing out on. Being social, maybe getting a new job, asking for a raise, finding a husband, finding a wife, staying in your house, not being out and about and living life. These all have, guys, an emotional cost, but also a physical and financial cost as well. It's just about creating a presentation or ad-libbing some sort of presentation over the phone when you're talking to your clients about this. Your clients haven't made the connection from this. It's your job to make them very, very aware. And the way I did that was talk about results, what they're going to get, what their future will be like if they do work with me, what I'm going to save them, what it'll be like if they don't work with me, what it's going to cost them, and how much time they could be wasting, even talking about their past. If Joe Blogg smoker, you've been smoking for 10 years, you've already spent $100,000. So there's $100,000 you've wasted. If you don't quit with me today or work with me today, and I'm going to help you quit for $1,500, you're going to spend another $100,000 into the future. That's $200,000 of past waste and future waste, and I'm only charging $1,500. See how I've done that, guys? This is how I can make a comparison between my prices being more expensive than everybody else. Why? Because no other therapist or a coach was doing this. Every other therapist and coach that I knew, and still to this day, most will do this. They'll just give their price and the client say, well, I've got to think about it. And then the therapist or coach will go into trying to convince them with NLP, with coaching, and talking about why NLP works, why RTT is better, why coaching. And they go into explaining therapy, taking their client so far away from the focus of results. Clients want results. You want to keep their mind on results. And you want to have some sort of price comparison to saying that this is why I charge so much. So guys, this is the end of this. This is how I was able to charge so much money and how our students are able to charge so much money. And this was the thinking that I created for myself that blew up my business in a very positive way. Same thing I do in my coaching company today. And it's the thinking and adaptation that you need to make in your business as well. Okay, now, please go back, watch the business model, look at the metrics, and this will all start to connect why cheap clients are going to ruin your business. That why if you don't present to your clients why your prices are so expensive and you don't bring up your price. I mean, if you're giving this to your client for free, why are you not charging for it? Because they're just going to go to somebody else and get this and have to pay as well. They may as well pay you, but you're basically giving to them free because we know problems hold hands with other problems. So it's really understanding the value that we're giving our clients. Don't look at your value as just immediate. There is always a future benefit to working with you, but you have to understand what is your client wasting by not working with you? Past and future. And you've got to turn this into some sort of educational presentation to make your client very, very aware. And again, this is how we charge so much money. This is how we get away from the old model, which is multiple client, multiple niches at very low prices, which we know that business model doesn't work. This also gets us away from working with back-to-back clients and trying to fill up our diary with clients all the time, because now we run the risk of not having that 80% on our marketing time. Again, this is all discussed in a high level of detail in the free Hypnosis business model course. So go check that out again if you haven't already. But again, this dives deeper into the pricing model and the pricing structure. Now, for some of you, this will be enough to really wrap your mind and really have that aha moment of why prices need to be higher. You'll see the economics of your business will be more positive. And some of you guys will go out and start to offer this price and get immediate results, which is fantastic. For those that are still not convinced enough, just re-watch this. Allow this to sink into your mind, because this is the way of the future. This is the only way out of a broken business, of the old traditional model. This is the new model that you need to adapt, because this is what's going to save your business. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this made a lot of sense. Thank you so much for joining me on this program. I had a lot of fun with this. I like talking about pricing. Hopefully this has really changed your mind of what is possible with your therapy and coaching business. This model is the same whether you're a therapist, coach, NLP, RTT, hypnosis. It really doesn't matter. It's the same model for any sort of therapeutic business. Again, go check out that other free business program as well. And guys, I will see you on the next program. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.